it's beautiful. Like, it's something to be celebrated. Welcome to We Need to Talk Now, presented by AT&T. I'm Alicia J, and as always, I'm here with Nicole. How are you doing, Ashley?
I'm good. I'm yawning, but I'm getting through it. You always know that week leading up to Thanksgiving, there's like so much going on. You obviously still have to work. You still have your normal day to day, but it's a short week. Families coming into town. There's food preparations. There's grocery shopping. I'm reading NBA stats while I'm also reading texts from my mom talking about make sure you go to the store and you don't forget the yams. I know you told me several times. I will not forget the yams. Got it. Yams. So a lot percolating in my brain. How are you doing?
Listen, yams are important, so I'm with your mom. We can't forget those, okay? But I'm doing... I'll stay on her too, Mom, okay? But, I'm very much already in my head, that meme that's going around, very much in my head, already celebrating Thanksgiving. As a matter of fact, I'm in Sacramento visiting, my friends, my family that are here. And my god baby, she lives here. Her mom made me some Thanksgiving stuff before they left for a holiday cruise. So I've already been eating Thanksgiving. Yes, hooked me up, but it's also making me sleepy 24/7. Like, I'm on the itis. So yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, but
almost there, guys. We're almost there. A couple more days.
Yeah, we're almost there. But let me tell you, listen, we could use the day off. Yeah.
No,
we could use the day
off. I don't know if people take off like the day after Thanksgiving. I think most people do, right? Like, I don't know how that works.
I think, we have like a day off too, like around Thanksgiving. I think it's the day before. I don't know, but all I know is that we could all use the day off. But what we don't have a day off from is sports, because there is something 24/7 going on, and this is no different. So we're here because literally today, Alyssa Naeher announced that she's retiring from international play. It's like, listen, we can't, it's one soccer thing after another. So she said, I'm going to come out and do this. So we're going to talk about that because, it's obviously monumental in the sport. We're going to preview the week's biggest women's college basketball games. There's been some amazing upsets that have happened, and we just need to get right down to it when it comes to all that. And then we've already talked a little bit about Thanksgiving, but we got some special things that we need to talk about coming up, and we're going to give thanks. So definitely stay tuned for that.
Absolutely. Well, before we get into all of that good stuff, we want to do some housekeeping and just remind you, as usual, to tap in with us on all of our social media channels: Instagram, TikTok, X/Twitter. I don't know what the kids call it these days, but I'm calling it Twitter. And if you are on YouTube, we are there as well. So make sure you are subscribed. Your notifications are turned all the way up. And this QR code here, you can go ahead and scan that, and we will pop up wherever you get your podcast. If you are more of a listener, we are on Spotify and we are on Apple. So listen, there is no reason to not be tapped in with us here at We Need to Talk, presented by AT&T. There's not a thing you want to miss, and we made it very easy for you to not miss a thing. So there's that.
Definitely tap in. And I know Ashley and I, we just started our Blue Sky accounts too, so you can find us there.
Yeah,
it's
too many.
It's too many. Yeah, it's too many apps. It's too many apps, but definitely tap in. We're everywhere, and we definitely want to interact with you. So tap in. And one thing that we're about to tap in to right now is Alyssa Naeher announcing her retirement from international play. Earlier today, longtime USWNT starting goalkeeper Alyssa Naeher announced her retirement from international soccer. She is so many things, okay? Like, I could go down and read it for the whole show, but a 2-time World Cup champion, an Olympic gold and bronze medalist. She's basically won every single thing that you could win in soccer, having taken over the number 1 goalkeeper spot that Hope Solo had back in 2016. So in a post to announce, because everyone was just kind of like floored that she announced it today out of all days, but also just the timing is a lot for everybody, coming off of, like an amazing championship that we had in the NWSL and just everything that's happening, and also all these people retiring, right? But Nair said, I am so grateful for all the incredible teammates that I have shared the field with, teammates that have turned into lifelong friends. Thank you all for pushing me, supporting me, and making me a better person, player every single day. This has been a special team to be a part of, and I am beyond proud of what we have achieved, both on and off the field. The memories I have made over the years will last a lifetime, will last me a lifetime. So when you see this and you hear about this announcement, what are your thoughts on this, retirement from Alyssa Naeher?
Well, I think it's interesting, right, that it's not a retirement in totality. It's, I guess, a semi-retirement because she is retiring from the international play, but not for the domestic play. So making that justification or clarification rather. But it just adds to the list of just the retirement announcements that we've been getting this year. I mean, joining Kelly O'Hara and Alex Morgan. Like you said, it's been one thing after another in the world of women's soccer. We're coming off an incredible NWSL championship and just everything that surrounds that. But it also shows, while we've been celebrating the highs and the wins and the new names, the new women killing it and the records being broken, that there is a changing of the guard slightly beginning to happen. And I think that it's bittersweet. But I think that the cool thing about it, obviously, you never want to see legends retire from the game. You think that they can play forever and you hope that they can play forever. But I think that when you see names that are so prevalent in the sport, hanging up their cleats and in one way or another, it just makes room for more of the conversations we have on this show about, the young talent, the 17, the 18, the 19, the 20-year-olds just absolutely killing it. And they're going to be the new torch holders for this sport. And they're going to be responsible for doing what these women have done before them. And that is just carve a lane, carve multiple lanes, break down barriers, break down records, and ultimately just make women's soccer better, safer, more profitable,
Well,
more lucrative. All the things that they have envisioned for this sport, it's up for this next generation to kind of carry that torch. So it's sad, but it's also empowering and enlightening and exciting as well, if those are the right words.
yeah, I mean, two things can be true at the same time, right? You can be sad about, your favorite players leaving the sport, but also be happy that they came, they did everything that they could do in the sport, and they changed it for the better before they left. So when they passed that torch on, they passed a better sport, a better culture, a better way of participating in the sport. And Alyssa said that earlier. I was watching an interview that she did, and she said that, it was just time. I did everything that I came to do. And I'm just so happy to be able to pass the torch on to these players who are making such an impact. So it's like you're laying that ground for these players to thrive. And the only thing I can think of when I think of all these retirements that are happening specifically in soccer is thank you. Thank you for doing that for the sport, for women. I mean, just as somebody who's never played soccer. Well, I played a little bit when I was young, but it wasn't anything. It wasn't anything. Yeah, I went on to basketball after that. But as I guess we could say, as women who not have only played but also work in sport, for somebody to do what she has done specifically for the sport and how she is leaving it in such an amazing place, and it's only going to go up from there. It's beautiful. Like, it's something to be celebrated. And, I'm just, it's hard to see your favorite players go, but it's also just amazing to see what they've accomplished.
Better bring it. It's so hard to say goodbye to yesterday. I'm not a good singer, guys. Just know that.
Listen, that's
So,
my lighter. I should have got my yes.
to say goodbye to yesterday. That was our ode.
Get a singing contract. Get
Oh,
up here. See, I I didn't even know.
Well, nobody needs to hear that unless it's auto-tuned the heck out. But what we do need to see and what we do need to talk about is what is called Feast Week, because with Feast Week, we have some elite college women's basketball matchups all on our TV screens. And before we get into all of them, we got to talk about some major upsets that have happened already. Girl, we've been talking about it. We've been alluding to it. We've been saying that it may or may not happen, and it finally did. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I'm going to tell you right now. Number 5, UCLA ended South Carolina's win streak. Yes, you heard that correctly. Number 5, UCLA takes down South Carolina by 15 points at that to stop the Gamecocks win streak at 43 games. On Monday, the Bruins were rewarded for that absolutely astronomical upset with the number 1 ranking in the AP poll for the first time in program history. Let's run down some of these notes, okay? Largest loss by an AP number 1 team since January 2020. It is the Gamecocks' largest loss since the 2019 Sweet 16 and the first road loss since December 2021. Now, look, UCLA put on an absolute clinic offensively and defensively, but we gotta put a microscope on that defense. It was relentless, as Dawn Staley called it, held South Carolina to 62 points on 36, almost 37% shootings, around 36 and a half. The Bruins had a 21-point lead at halftime. It sounds like something that South Carolina normally does to other teams.
Yes.
South Carolina's first double digit at halftime deficit since December 2021. First 20-point halftime deficit since March 2019. I mean, Alicia, if you weren't watching this game, you missed an absolute shocker for everybody who may have been busy doing other things. Don't worry, we got you covered. The Bruins went in there, and I have to give them credit. The Lady Bruins went in there and said, you know what? We know your pedigree. We know all hail South Carolina, the Queens, the ultimate streak. We know the big bad wolf, but we're going to show you we a big bad wolf too. Absolutely incredible. It is the story of Jack and the Beanstalk taking down the giant. It was a sight to be seen. I love this type of tenacity from a basketball team. I especially love seeing this type of tenacity in a women's basketball game this early into the season. You mentioned it earlier on in the podcast when we talked about this a few weeks ago, that maybe an L is what South Carolina kind of needed. You can only be top dog for so long, but did they need this L? Did they need this big of a one?
Yeah. Well, it was definitely a big L for sure.
Mhm.
They struggled for pretty much most of the game when you're watching it. And a lot of it was what we had said earlier was, they still, when it comes to Camila Cardoso and her not being on the team, they're still working out that post play. And what was crazy about watching this game, and I kept thinking this, was UCLA was doing very much what South Carolina would do, in years past, right? And did it very well. Is
Right.
Camilla was such a force in there that so many people had to come and help on her and do everything, that it opened up a lot for the other players. And that's what Lauren Betts did for UCLA very much. Her stat line, I don't have it off the top of my head, but it wasn't like one of those flashy stat lines that people would be like, oh, look at all those points or whatever. But her presence, what she was doing on all fronts, she just really created so much adjustment that South Carolina had to make, that it opened up a lot for the other players, and they just really put on a clinic in a lot of ways with that game. And one thing that I would say that I absolutely am loving right now is there are so many good teams in women's college basketball right now. Anyone can get it. Anyone can get it on any day. And so it's a beautiful thing to see, when you have a team like South Carolina that is so incredibly dominant, teams are preparing to beat you and getting players to beat you and putting all of these pieces together to be able to compete with you. And you see all of these teams rising to this top right now. And it's amazing to watch. It's beautiful basketball, and it's beautiful to see all of these women's basketball teams just coming out the gate and getting her done. Like,
I think
I love watching it.
And I think it's interesting, right? There was a lot of conversations kind of circulating on social media after UCLA upset South Carolina from two different angles, right? One was the love-hate relationship with kind of the AP and their rankings. And, did UCLA deserve to jump 4 spots after taking down South Carolina? I mean, it's a big giant to take down. Some people say, well, 4 spots is a lot of spots to jump. I don't know. I don't put too much stock into the rankings like this
Right.
early in the season. It's not going to look like this, when we come March, right? But I will think it's interesting, or I do think it's interesting, the conversations more so around South Carolina and if there's any cause for concern, the way that they lost. They lost by double digits. It's very uncharacteristic of this South Carolina team. It has been uncharacteristic of them for such a long period of time. And I think I personally am like 50-50. I think that when you talk about a team that has never lost for such an extended period of time, I am on the side of when you do lose, you usually lose by a very big margin, just because it's so uncharacteristic to your style of play that you almost forget the muscle memory that it requires to take yourself out of a deficit, right? When I was learning basketball, my dad used to tell me all the time, and when my coaches would say, it's debilitating playing from behind. But if you haven't had to play from behind in 2.5 years, you kind of forget how to do it. You forget about the runs and all the other things that come with making sure you can dig yourself out of a deficit. So I don't personally make too much of how much they lost by, but I wonder how you feel on that.
I think anytime you lose by double digits
Yeah.
and you're a team that's not used to doing that, right? And has not done that in a really long time, that you should be concerned at some level. I don't care what team it is. Like, just as a coach, it's like, okay, what do we need to do? Where do we need to improve on? Like, how did we what what is the best thing that we can learn from this, right?
I know.
Going forward. And I know that Coach Staley is going to do all this. I am not by any means scared for South Carolina or think that South Carolina is like, oh, it's going to be a terrible season for. No, no. They had a rough game. Okay. They lost by double digits, and they definitely should learn everything that they can from that and move forward and tweak the things that they need to. They're a team that just isn't as dominant or as deep as they were in years past. Do I think they can improve and get better and be up there? Yes, they still are up there. They had a loss, but as a coach, I would always be concerned if something like that were to happen. So I think there should be some internal concern for sure, but should we be concerned about the program as a whole? I don't think so. I think they just had a game that was challenging and an amazing UCLA team that won, hands down. you know, they got
For
up in
sure.
there and they won that game. So I don't know. I just don't think you should be in dire over this. Like, it's
Yeah.
not like, but obviously with a loss like that, you should always be concerned on some level on how we cannot have this happen again and have it happen often.
All right, let's work on some other matchups. Let's talk about some other matchups that we have on the books. Like I said, feast week, baby. There's a lot to choose from. So I'm gonna tee you up on this matchup right here, Alicia, and you tell me who you're feeling more in this one. All right, we got number 4 South Carolina versus number 15 Iowa State. It's a top 25 matchup. Who are you feeling and why?
Man, this one's gonna be hard just because they're coming off of a loss like this, right? So it
Right?
could go one of two ways. They could come out balling because they want to show people that that is not something that is going to happen often or normal, and or Iowa State could be like, look, they're not. We can beat them. Like, somebody just beat them, and we got this. So I just, looking at the program, knowing Coach Staley, knowing how she inspires her players and how she brings the best out of them, I would say that it's going to be a good one, but that South Carolina would prevail on this one.
I agree with you. I agree the bounce back is going to be major. And again, I think that to your point, just we're going to be repetitive here. I think that the loss is going to be good for them. And I just think it's going to kind of get that loss out of the way earlier in the season. And they're going to be able to kind of roll the way they want to roll for the remainder of the college season. So I'm not too worried about South Carolina as a whole. We also have number 22 Iowa, who is back in the AP top 25. Obviously, with Lucy Olson, had a Stalky. They've been leading the team. They're going to be facing BYU. You already know I'm going with Iowa. I think that these girls have a lot to prove post Caitlin Clark. I think people are sleeping on them a little bit post Caitlin Clark. Rightfully so. You have one of the biggest college stars and now one of the biggest NBA stars, WNBA stars ever, just absolutely hooping, absolutely just crushing it. It's hard to kind of recreate that magic, but you don't have to recreate it. You just have to be just as successful with the pieces you do have. Who are you feeling though?
Right. I definitely am. I'm with you on that one. Iowa, no shade to BYU, but Iowa, going on a 6-0 start and also understanding that they love this coach that they're playing for too. That coach, Jensen has been with them. Like, it's not like she's this new coach that's coming in. They want to do just as well for her as they did for the previous coach because she's been coaching with them for so long and they love her. Like, she's inspiring. She is a huge reason why in years previous to this that they've had the success, and now she's showing why she can do it as a head coach. So I don't know. I don't understand why they're under the radar as much as they are. Knowing the program that they have, where they've come from, and the players that they have as well. They have a squad. So I'm with Iowa for sure. And also number 22, like number 22, Iowa. Caitlin Clark will always be there. She's
Right.
always around. That's all I
Right.
have to
Yeah.
say.
Always there. It's always there. We're going to go into another top 25 matchup, and that's number 3 Notre Dame versus number 17 TCU, who I absolutely have been loving watching play. Haley Van Lith has finally found her home. It's been a very tumultuous kind of experience for her when you talk about college basketball, just trying to find where she's most comfortable, where she fits, where she can flourish. The Horned Frogs, 6-0 start to start the season, and a lot of that is on the back of her. She's averaging around 20 points per game. I'm going to go with the upset here. I'm going TCU to upset Notre Dame. I just think Haley is on an absolute offensive heater, and I don't see it slowing down anytime soon. How are you feeling?
Well, I love what is happening at TCU, especially the program itself has bounced back in so many ways. I mean, last year, I want to say, was it last year or the year before, they had volunteers that came to play on that team because they were so injured and they needed people. So and it was last year for sure. I am 1000% behind TCU, but I think that Notre Dame is going to get this one.
I'm out of it.
Hannah Hidalgo, Olivia Miles, Coach Ivy, like that team is just firing on all cylinders right now. I love what they're doing. I love the movements that they made in the off season to enhance their team even more. They just beat USC, which was a huge win. So yeah, I mean, it's gonna be a good one. All of these, I'm gonna say that for every one of these because listen, every single one of these games has been incredibly beautiful to watch this year. The teams are just so competitive. As a fan, you have to love it. I can hardly stay in the seat right now talking about it.
Yeah.
But with that matchup, I would say Notre Dame is going to win.
All right, we got another top 25 matchup on the docket as well, and that's number 20 NC State versus number 7 LSU, who just barely avoided an upset today, beating Washington by the final score of 68-67. Flau'jae absolutely balled out. She had 19 points. But this is interesting, right? Because we've seen LSU, although they're ranked higher than NC State, we've seen them, is a term in basketball that I love, play with their food a little bit and sometimes play down to their competition. So I'm interested to see where you're leaning towards this because of the fact that I've seen LSU, I don't know, sometimes they look a little wonky to me. I'm actually leaning towards NC State to pull the upset, but how are you feeling?
Well, I would love them to pull the upset. I think LSU still has this one. I mean, NC State already played two of the top teams this season in South Carolina and TCU, and they lost both of those matchups. Not to say that they can't, win moving forward, but when I look at LSU, yeah, they just won narrowly, but
Mhm.
confidence that LSU always
Yeah, they got some swag.
has, yeah, like I don't
Yeah.
care what happens to them, they're always gonna have that confidence, and I'll bet on confidence when it comes to this matchup, when it comes to LSU. So I would say LSU will prevail for sure. I don't know why I'm saying prevail so much. I'm just pulling out for it, like
Huh,
who does
huh.
that?
Uh, last
Prevail.
another top 25 matchup. These two teams are a little bit more closely match, though, when you talk about the AP poll. You have number 19, Illinois versus number 14, Kentucky. Now, Kentucky is in its first season under a new head coach, Kenny Brooks, and off to a 5-0 start. They already have one top 20 win under their belt, getting an OT win over the number 18 ranked Louisville. While ranked 20th in the country, they're up to 15 in the rankings and are looking to continue their streak. So, this is interesting, right? You have Kentucky sitting at 14, Illinois sitting at 19. So it's a little bit more evenly matched when you talk about the polling. But again, I don't know if the polling tells the whole story this early in the season. But if I had to pick a team, I just really like what Kentucky's doing. I like the basketball that they're playing. And I think sometimes a new head coach is that fire that a team needs to try to find a new identity, if you will, to tap into different pockets of their game. So I'm gonna go Kentucky, but I don't think it's gonna be a blowout. I think this is going to be an extremely close one.
I couldn't agree more. An extremely close game. And you also have to remember with Kentucky that Kenny and Georgia came together. Like
Mhm.
they came together in, obviously, she's an amazing player. He's an amazing coach. And having them come over together, it was a really powerful move. Like when he went, I knew she was going to go, period. I think everybody knew that. So, um, yeah, Kentucky is deeper than we think they are, I think, at this point in the year. And, they're obviously going on a great streak. She's killing it right now. And he's doing a great job heading up that program for in his first year. So I'm going Kentucky for sure with this matchup, this particular one.
Listen, feast week to top off an amazing feast that we're all hopefully going to have on Thursday, you know?
Yes. Listen, I told you at the beginning of this pod, I'm already feasting because I had some great Thanksgiving a great Thanksgiving meal prepared for me before my friends left for their holiday trip that they're going on, which was
Love,
awesome. Like who does that? Like that's love
yo,
to me.
that's
That's
love.
love.
Yeah.
But when I think about, these dishes that are made on Thanksgiving, actually,
Mhm.
which one is your favorite?
Oh, I'm, like, basic when it comes to my favorite. It's the mac and cheese, it's the collard greens. I'm not a stuffing girl. I know people think that's crazy. My mom
Wait,
makes I'm not.
what about cornbread stuffing?
I'm not a stuffing girl. It's not
Ooh.
that I don't like it's not the taste that I don't like. My mom makes a phenomenal stuffing with, like, Italian sausage and cornbread, fresh and from scratch. I just can, like, take or leave the stuffing with, like, everything else that there is to put on my plate with, like, the turkey, the mac and cheese, the yams, the collard greens. It's just like when the rolls, just when I get to the stuffing, I'm just like, I could take it or leave it. I don't need it. You know what I mean? I'm just that girl. I've always been that girl. So
Okay,
I know
that's
people
okay.
think that's weird, but it's just there's a lot of other stuff that I can prioritize before I get to the stuffing. What about you?
So I personally think that turkey is overrated. I'm not
It
a
is.
turkey
It's highly
girl.
overrated for sure.
Yeah, I just don't. It's just. I don't know. It's just not my favorite thing. So
I
I'm
only
gonna.
eat it because it's protein, and I feel like all the carbs, I need some sort of protein. Otherwise, it's like a carb heavy meal, and yeah.
I agree, but I'm gonna push the turkey to the side in this
Okay.
conversation when we talk about dishes because
Okay.
just a sides girl when it comes to Thanksgiving. So overall, like all the sides, I'm taking all of it. I can't think of a side that I don't really like. So
Greens, beans, yams, potatoes. She
all of
mentioned
it.
chicken though, and I never had chicken on Thanksgiving. That's the only
Chicken,
thing that
I haven't had chicken, but what I will tell you is this year I'm going to have oxtails on Thanksgiving. So really excited. There's a one of my they're my family. So Fran and Chef D out here, they have a business out here, and one of it is he makes these amazing oxtails. And so when they asked me what I wanted for Thanksgiving, because I'm gonna spend it with them, it's called his catering business is called D's Word of Mouth, and he always does catering for people on Thanksgiving, but he's also gonna cook for me too, in addition, which is such I know. It's so beautiful. I'm just so thankful. But he's going to make oxtails, fried fish, grits, like all the stuff that he makes
Yum.
that I love, he's gonna do that. So I'm here for
Well,
that.
that's a
The
perfect
side dishes.
segue into our candid conversation segment for this pod. And that is obviously there's football, there's amazing food, there's a day off of work, all of that. But the real premise of the holiday is to spend it with people you care about, that care about you, and to just really take a moment to find solace and find peace in what you're thankful for, and just really taking a moment of reflection. Obviously with so many things going on in our world, it's a reminder that not everybody is as lucky as you and I will be, and so many of us will be, to be someplace where they're going to have an amazing meal with people who care about them in a warm home, especially if you're in like a cold climate. So that's something that I always really I consider myself somebody who is grateful throughout my everyday existence, but it's really holidays specifically just because I know it can be a very difficult time of year for so many people. And I never take for granted that the holidays for me are a joyous occasion. And I'm very blessed and lucky to be surrounded by people that I love. And I get to wake up every day and go to a job that I love and do something that I love. And it never falls short on me that people are not as lucky. So that's kind of what I'm thankful for on Thanksgiving, and really what I'm thankful for, I feel like, all year round. And I feel like you kind of have to be, just because your life can change in an instant, and anything that you have now can not be what you have tomorrow, and you have to find, just thankfulness, and you just have to be blessed and give grace for everything that's given to you, because nothing is promised. So mine is very basic and simple. It's what I'm grateful for every day. So what about you? What are you grateful for this year?
Well, I almost feel like we should just end it right there because I echo everything that you just said. Amen. Shut her down. Like that's drop the mic because that is exactly I could not agree with you more. And in addition to everything that you said, I'm very thankful for each and every one of you that are watching because we started this together, and Emma, we all started this pod together. It has been amazing to have it. We started in April, and it's been such a phenomenal experience because of all of you who are watching, everybody that we've interviewed, just sitting alongside you, Ashley. Like, I can't tell you how much I have grown just in this space, just from interacting with you and watching what you do. And then also being with Emma and like the shows that she puts together and just everything that we've done to, make We Need to Talk Now what it is. I'm very thankful because it takes a lot of time, and also like just nobody needs to listen to us and they do. And we're so thankful that you're here, and we're thankful that we, get to connect and all of those things. We're also thankful for AT&T, who believes in what we're doing. And
Yes.
believes in women's sports in general. Thank you. I mean,
I have
I'm
AT&T, by the way. Just want to put that out there.
listen, put her in a commercial, AT&T. But literally so very very thankful, and just thankful where women's sports are as a whole, because it was a long time coming, and it's not even, I mean, we're just scratching the surface of what women's sports
Good point.
can do and what they're going to do. And so I'm just thankful for the space that we're in. I'm thankful to be in this space with you, Emma, all of you watching, and I couldn't be more thankful. It's it does not fall short. It sits on my heart because we get to do this. It's a privilege to do it. And to be a voice in this amazing movement that is happening is just, I'm so
Absolutely.
thankful.
Absolutely. And we want to hear what you are all thankful for as well. Alicia said it best. We are so thankful for you guys supporting us, rocking with us way back in the beginning in April. We're approaching a year in just a couple of months, which is absolutely crazy when you think about it. I'm not going to jump ahead because we're already emotional at this point in the pod. We gotta
Again,
tone down the emotion a little bit, but we do want to hear what you are thankful for. So please, in the comments, whether you're watching on YouTube or you're gonna tap in with us on social media, or maybe you're a Twitter X user and you want to tap in there, just leave us a comment, send us a message, what you are thankful for. Here are all of our social channels. And we just want to, on behalf of We Need to Talk Now, presented by AT&T, myself, Alicia, Emma, we want to wish you a very happy holiday wherever you may be celebrating. We want to wish you a safe holiday because we want you to come back next week and tap in with us then. So enjoy the food, enjoy the football. Unless you're a Cowboys fan, we won't enjoy the football. We'll just enjoy the food. Basketball is school. It's feast week. There's so much to be thankful for. There's so much to look forward to. And once again, we want to remind you to tap in with us on YouTube, and the QR code at the end will help you listen to this show and all our other shows of the past, wherever you get your podcasts. So happy Thanksgiving, everyone. We'll
happy
see you.
Thanksgiving. See you on the next show.